Chiefs, brought to you by Sheehan's Rustproofing. The Chiefs have just come out on the ice for a warm-up period. They're about to try for their 5th consecutive win. They're getting a good round of applause from their own booster club, who have traveled all the way from Charlestown to be here in Peterborough tonight.
Need more energy throughout the day? Looking for a kick to your workout? RockinThatIDLife.com has you covered with delicious flavors you've grown to love in tropical fruit and mixed berry, but now fall in love with the new fruit punch and orange flavors. Try them all at RockinThatIDLife.com.
Realtor Mike Burgoyne with Real Brokerage LLC makes the moving process easier. Work with a realtor who plays and studies the game and will work as hard as the boys on the ice to get you the best deal. Check out Mike on the web at strikewithmike.com and jumpstart your move today. That's strikewithmike.com. Welcome to episode number 20 of season 11. This is episode number 396 all time of the often imitated, never duplicated. This show is so fetch. We're the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Special thanks to our sponsors, RockinThatIDLife.com, StrikeWithMike.com, and CenterIceBrewery.com for proudly sponsoring the show. Please check them out. Also, don't forget to check out our t-shirt shop at Let'sGoBlues.com for the very best and St. Louis Blues themed t-shirts at a fair price. It is Wednesday, February 8th. We're live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. To interact with the show on social media, our handle on all the socials is at LGB Radio. I'm Kurt Price. I'm my co-host for the big show. Tonight is Bill Day. Jeff Ponder is spending some extended family time tonight. What did I say? I got extended written down here.
Yeah,
extended. That's not right.
That doesn't seem right.
No,
I was gonna go with this is the All-Star show, and Ponder just refused to show up. He supposedly has a nagging injury and couldn't be bothered to show up.
Right. He's with some extended family tonight.
Yeah.
So they're going through some emotional stuff. So we definitely send our positive thoughts to Jeff's family right now. So and I'm sure he'd appreciate our listeners maybe doing the same.
Yes, please send all the vibes.
Yeah. The agenda for tonight includes discussion about the St. Louis Blues roster and the pieces that could get traded at the deadline or before the deadline. Did Armstrong make a mistake by not offering Pietrangelo the buyout-proof contract he demanded? We talked about that a lot on the show. We'll touch on it again tonight. Or would it have mattered if he had offered it? Anyway, so we'll talk some prospect talk, and we'll critique the All-Star Weekend. All that and more on this episode of Let's Go Blues Radio. What's up, Bill? With the Blues trending out of the playoffs, it's almost St. Louis City SC time, right?
It is. You know, I had mistakenly thought that today was the open of the season, but I think it was preseason.
Yeah,
so,
I think so.
My birthday this year is their first game at Austin. So yep. I will be watching that. If there's a Blues game that night, I will watch the City game instead.
Ouch.
So
yeah, this is how it's going.
Yes. This right now, like I had this thought back in 2019 that this was probably how things were going to wind up in a couple of years. And at the time I was okay with it. And I wouldn't give up what happened in 2019, but between the Blues winning the cup and, then I guess it was, Liverpool is having super success. Everybody was rolling 2019, 2020, very good. And right now everybody sucks. I don't want to watch any of my favorite sports teams. Montreal is in the shitter again. Just no, kind of glad I don't have enough time to get pissed off all the time.
Austin Lynch says it's cheaper to travel to Nashville for a St. Louis City game than go in St. Louis. I noticed that when I was looking at tickets and you see the prices of where they play elsewhere, it's so much cheaper elsewhere. You can go for $15, $20 elsewhere.
Yeah, it'll be that way in 2 years here.
Well, that'd be great because, you see cheapest tickets, $50, $60. It's like, ooh, come on. Let's. I get it. The excitement, the first year team.
Right. And St. Louis is, it has always been a hotbed of soccer. So,
Right.
just, we had a pretty, some pretty competitive indoor teams, the Steamers, the Ambush,
Love
the
Steamers.
Storm.
The Storm. I grew up huge Steamers fan. Just
Used
so
to love
much fun.
going to those games, and
Mhm.
they would kick the little the miniature balls up into the stands
Mhm.
for everybody.
Yep.
Absolutely love that.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, Don Ebert, Ty Cacciatore, Daryl Duran,
Mhm.
Slobo Ilievsky.
Loved him. A friend of mine, I've said this on the show before. A friend of mine in grade school, his sister dated Slobo for a while.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
He passed away a little while back, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
He did. I think we talked about it on the show, actually.
Yeah, we were kind of surprised that he passed away, I think.
Yeah, it was fairly young.
Yeah, I thought so.
Maybe Roman Berkey will be this generation's Slobo Ilievsky.
That'd be great. Just well, you know what? I think he needs a nickname of Slobo because we have to call the goalie in St. Louis Slobo.
All for it.
Last week we kind of touched on the movie Mean Girls, and I told Ponder I would watch it, and I did. And I'm going to critique it real quick. It was okay. Have you seen it, Bill? You said you haven't.
I've seen bits and pieces of it.
Okay. It was okay. Not a great comedy. This is me talking. I'm not trying to blanket statement everyone. Had some funny parts. Not a movie I'd watch over and over. It had some funny moments, but I know Ponder said it was his favorite comedy of all time. Whenever someone says it, I'm like, I gotta watch it. I gotta see it. Whatever it is, I gotta see it. Not close to that level for me personally. And I went through my list of movies that I have here, and real quick, I think I found, I'm not gonna name them all off, 35 comedies that I have that I would put above Mean Girls, Dumb and Dumber, Airplane, Anchorman, Big Lebowski, Blazing Saddles, Hangover, Caddyshack, Clerks, blah 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 blah. So many good ones. Vacation, Real Genius, Slapshot, Superbad, Three Amigos.
Julie was. We were talking on the phone yesterday. She was watching it while working, and I got some quotes from it. So love it. I did see that one in the theater as a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Thought it was the funniest thing I'd ever seen at that point.
I think I did too at the theater. Maybe Jeff and I saw it. My cousin Jeff, not Ponder. Yeah. Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Have you seen that?
Yes. Which is such a great idea and really pretty well executed.
If you haven't seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil, watch it. It is probably not what you think it's going to be. Although the title may hint. It's kind of a goofy title.
Yeah. It's I was a little late to that show when our group of friends watched it, but when I did, I really enjoyed it. It's
Matt Harris says Mean Girls is cinema at its finest. You just don't understand true art, Kurt. Maybe that's the case.
So you used to work in a movie theater. This may be a difficult question to process on the spot, but what is your all-time favorite movie?
All-time favorite movie? I always say that when people ask me these kinds of questions, I always forget about Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah.
As being, definitely top 5 for me. So hard to pick one, But I'd say maybe Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Maybe Back to the Future, just because of nostalgia reasons for me.
Yeah.
Oh God. I mean, there's so many it could be, right? I'll go Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
All right.
Just because I don't think many people pick that one. It's an excellent movie.
It is, well, Coen Brothers at their finest. They were really at their peak at that point.
Shawshank Redemption.
There? Shawshank would be up there. My all-time favorite is a Coen Brothers too, and it's Fargo. Just
so good.
absolutely
Yeah.
love that movie.
So good.
Another one that, like I had seen Raising Arizona, but wasn't like blown away by it. And I saw Fargo at the Kirkwood Cinema in 97, I guess, 96, 97 when it was out. And oh my God, that was the funniest thing I'd ever seen. I can quote that movie front to back, and just brilliant movie.
Winning
And the
Unlimited.
TV series is good too.
Winning Unlimited says his all-time favorite is Matrix. That's a solid, good choice. Matt Harris, Back to the Future is a solid candidate. That or Whiplash for me. Whiplash. Is that the Whiplash? What movie is that? That's not the band, the drumming movie, is it? The with what's his name as the Nazi band director? Not Nazi, but I mean strict.
I don't know. Tell us, Matt. Once this catches up to us.
Yeah. I was right. Whiplash. Yeah, it is. It's about that's an excellent movie. Saw it a long time ago. I guess back when it came on DVD. It's about I think it's a band. J.K. Simmons is on it.
Okay.
Jazz band, drummer movie. Yes, that's what Matt Harris says. Yeah, like a tyrant of a band leader.
And he didn't he have serious consideration for best actor?
Wouldn't surprise me. He was very good in that movie. Yeah. So yeah, excellent choice. Yeah, J.K. Simmons. Yes.
Yep.
More that girl. Amy says J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
Good movie.
Who will also sell you some farmers insurance.
Oh, right. We are farmers. Matt Harris says with the guy from Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun Maverick is an excellent movie. If you haven't seen that, that is I was shocked at how much I liked that movie. I thought they're making a sequel to Top Gun. I was like, oh, this could be bad. Yep. The exact opposite. I thought that was an excellent movie. One of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, Tom Cruise did not waste that movie.
No.
That's for the 30 years leading up to it, that's all I worried about was they're just Tom Cruise is going to need to make bank at some point, and he's just going to throw a movie together. But no, that movie was so well done. Follows through. Like even the love interest is tied to the original movie, right? There was just you thought it was a throwaway line in the original movie about getting in trouble with Admiral's daughter, and that turns out to be the love interest. So pretty cool.
Office Space, Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Snatch.
That's another movie that when it is on, like I have to watch it all the way through. So many good. Brad Pitt was so damn good in that movie.
Yeah. Okay. Me, Myself, and Irene, Napoleon Dynamite, Animal House. I'll stop. Yeah. There's a ton. I mean, tons of fantastic movies. But Mean Girls is probably, if I'm gonna put it in my list of favorite comedies, it's probably in the 50s. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I have to watch it again.
Yeah.
Official beers of episode number 396. You can follow each of us on the Untapped app. My handle is CPrice12. Jeff is JPonder94, and Bill's is Billy Blue Note 33. I guess am I going first again?
You're going first.
All right.
We haven't lost since you've gone first.
It's true. Going back to the Stag. Stag beer, originally brewed in, I guess, Belleville, Illinois, one of the breweries.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was gonna make jokes about this is the All-Star show, so we get to kind of mail it in tonight. So Stag feels like mailing it in.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't feel like breaking out an expensive beer. I felt like drinking a $1 bottle of something. So
yeah,
that's Stag it is.
There you go. I did go the other way and keeping up my my bad habit of not checking the ABV before pulling it out of the fridge.
You do that a lot.
I do, and this is Hubbard's Cave. It's the first time I'd ever heard of this brewery. They're I guess a brewing project. They don't have their own brewery. They brew out of a place called Unane in Lisle, Illinois.
Their label kind of looks like you described them.
Yeah.
It looks small operation, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. It's just a aluminum can with a one sticker on it that doesn't go the whole way around. So it's but the beer is damn good. This is their French Toast Imperial Stout.
Nice.
And out of all the French Toast beers I've had, this is the closest to hitting the flavor of French toast. It's very good. 12% alcohol by volume.
John Lattis. Is that a new listener? Have we had them on before? I don't think so. I haven't seen that name before. Deer Piss, brewed right here on 17th Street, 5 minutes from my house. It's now Empire Stove Factory.
Stag.
Is that what he's talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Deer Piss. No. Oh, Deer Piss. Okay.
Right.
I get it.
Yeah.
And I beg to differ, John.
Yeah, but he says he used to steal beer out of their dumpsters as a kid.
Oh, well, so yeah, beggars can't be choosers. Matt Harris says, I'm drinking Kachina Ale, Don't Tell the Blues. The Arizona reference.
Yeah.
Okay. We are going to discuss the Blues roster and some likely trade chips off of that roster on the other side of this break from our friends from Rockin' That ID Life. You're listening to Kurt and Bill on Let's Go Blues Radio.
Every beer league hockey night, I grab my hockey bag and sticks and throw them in the trunk of my car. And the very next thing I do, I mix up a boost of energy courtesy of rockinThatIDLife.com. It's formulated to break up its delivery in 3 ways, which helps me get through all 3 periods of hockey. Phase 1 provides a rapid onset of energy, concentration, alertness, and motivation. By period 2, I'm receiving a dose of sustained energy, increased focus, metabolism, cognitive function, performance, and feelings of well-being, which I need with the way I play. In Phase 3, I'm getting fatigue protection without jitters and crash, an elevated mood, and a reduction of fluid retention to help me make the big play when it counts. This same triphasic approach helps me when I drink it during work hours or simply just for a pick-me-up when I need it. Try one of the 4 energy flavors by visiting rockinThatIDLife.com, but make sure to email Dustin at rockinThatIDLife@gmail.com and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you to receive an additional 10% off your order. That's rockinThatIDLife.com.
Maybe we should take a triphasic approach with the roster and trade chip analysis here with you reuse words throughout the podcast, from ID Life, the triphasic. I would have to understand what triphasic means first.
In 3 phases.
In 3 phases.
In 3
Okay.
phases.
Well, this show is in 3 phases.
It is.
So,
it's kind of in
phases.
4 now.
Yeah, but after the last commercial, it's all crap. Right. Look at this. It's 9:41 or 2, and we are already through the first break. On some nights, we haven't even started yet.
That's damn straight.
Yeah.
And there was some complaining by a certain Matt Harris at the very beginning of the show
About us not starting on time.
Yeah.
Yeah. He always does that, doesn't he?
He does. He's getting, he's working up the jokes during the week and dropping them on us early.
In his defense, we usually are late. So
yes,
we're always late. I can't remember the last time we started at 9:14, 9:15.
We meant to start at 8:30 the last time we did that.
Right. The roster and the trade deadline. You want to hear something depressing, guys? Only 5 NHL teams have $5 million or more in cap space immediately available to them right now. So, and we're trying to move a couple of $7.5 million players. Fans are trying to move them. We're not sure what Armstrong is doing quite yet, or what he's trying to do. But 2 $7.5 million players to be distributed amongst, right now 5 teams that have $5 million more in cap space. Yeah, and 2 of those teams are in the Central Division, and interdivision trades aren't common for a reason. Add to that one of our $7.5 million players has a full no trade clause and can simply say he doesn't want to go to a team that may want him. Add to that, this year is a deep draft year, so teams are less likely than years past to trade away a first-round draft pick that we may be asking for these players. So think about all that on March 3rd, deadline day, if O'Reilly and Tarasenko haven't been moved yet. So temper your expectations maybe on trading O'Reilly and Tarasenko and in the return that they may get. Just saying.
That is very sobering. I think that's probably the best word here is sobering, to think that we should be in a position of power, but it's not shaping up too well. I think some of the names that we'll talk about lower down on the list are going to be gone.
Yeah,
and if we wind up moving 91, it's not going to be the return that we should have gotten.
Yeah, I mean it all depends on how many teams are involved. What's coming back the other way. Teams are going to have to move salary to make room for some of these players. So, and we'll have to take on some salary, maybe a 3-way trade, whatever, So, it's going to be, this is the most interesting trade deadline period for the Blues in years. We had it the year before the Cup run when Stastny was moved, right? That wasn't done. I mean, that was done at the deadline, but the Blues were in a playoff spot when that happened.
Right.
This year, I said before, this is the earliest in a long time that I've, accepted the fact, the probability the Blues are not going to make the playoffs, right? It would take a pretty substantial and miraculous run, along with some teams helping out, right, for the Blues to get back in it.
Right. Colorado would have to return to sucking pretty hard. Minnesota and Dallas are playing right now, and Dallas is winning. So I don't know. Minnesota could falter, but it's the scenarios are not very good.
No, and the Blues made this bet. They so inconsistent. Parts of their game were so bad for most of the season. Most notably the defensive play. So, they are where they should be, right? They're not where they. I mean, I think coming into this season, we thought they'd be better than this. A lot of people thought it'd be a playoff team, whether it be a wild card or what have you. But they're not anywhere close to how I thought they were going to be playing. I know before the season, and I'll own up to it. I thought the defense was going to be a lot better than the season before. I thought they were gonna have some more time to play together, gel together, rebound from a poor last season, but no, they did not.
Yeah, we've covered it almost every show this year. Just how disappointing the defensive side of the game has been for this team, and for a team that won the Stanley Cup on stellar defensive play and timely goal scoring. They might still get the goal scoring, but there's no stellar defensive play to be found.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned about the future of the offense. I'm concerned about the future of the defense for a number of reasons. So rebuild or retool, Bill, we've kind of touched on this a little bit. Because, I mean, your thoughts on what this team is going to do, it can or can't do, or what Armstrong's plans are. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, right?
Right. He's said publicly that this city will not tolerate a total rebuild. So I think it's, and I think he probably came into this year thinking, that he might be able to trim some weight like he did with the Stastny move that you alluded to, right? You know, he was coming up end of his contract, and at that point, had slotted himself into the third line center role. He might be able to do that with O'Reilly, but you know, the team that people seem to want to move O'Reilly to is one of the teams, at least, is well, Toronto, who don't. How do they have any cap room, right? And then
they want everybody,
right? Then Colorado, right?
Yeah,
and that's the interdivisional move that just shouldn't happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of rumors for O'Reilly to Colorado, and I don't think these rumors are based on anything other than the Avalanche could use him quite a bit.
Right, and he played there before.
Yes, that's it. There's no, I don't see Armstrong trading O'Reilly to the Avalanche unless he rips them off.
Yeah,
you're not going to trade in your division to a team that's good. When you want to be good,
right.
You're not going to give them a good player for
right.
No, it's got to be a haul coming back the other way, and they're not going to give you a haul.
No, they might say, you know what, we've got up on Sam Girard, we've got this, you know, Bo Byram that's going to be our number 3 defenseman, so we'll give you Sam Girard, and you know that's, you know, just Scott Perunovich a couple years older, I think, at this point. So I don't know. I'm not too familiar with Colorado's depth, although I should be, because that's all they played in first half of the season with all the injuries they had. So I don't.
Right, no kidding.
Yeah, and I'll say the first time I saw that that floated around was a pretty bad article by Eric Duhacek. That was, you know, the premise was basically, you know, I forget, was it unlikely trades, something like that, and
right.
it was basically, to me, it felt like a fluff piece, you know, something that his bosses told him, write something kind of fun, and you know, it was like, you know, the scenario was O'Reilly going back. I think it was you know, reuniting players together, and you know, O'Reilly going back to Colorado. But yeah, at the time I thought it was absurd, and I just don't think it's a realistic thing. Well, I hope it isn't.
So while we're talking about O'Reilly, he's the best center available now that Bo Horvat has been traded. So he's the opposite of Tarasenko in his comments.
Right.
He's been vocal about wanting to stay with the Blues and willing to take less to make it work here. But everyone seems to think he'll be moved. Colorado is talked about because they do need a second line center. Like we talked, I don't think he's going to go there. According to some potential suitors, other teams for O'Reilly, the Maple Leafs, the Devils, the Sabres. And the Sabres, O'Reilly can't veto any trade. But can you imagine him getting sent back to the Sabres?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
A team he did not want to be on at all a few years ago.
Right. And I think Jack Eichel probably had a lot to do with that. Just the culture that grew up around Eichel, you know, being the future, and him demanding out a couple years later. I think that's more likely than him going to Colorado, but that would it would be bizarre to see him back there. But let's see if Doug can pull off the magic and do what Matt Harris says.
Yeah, right.
O'Reilly for Tage.
I mean, well, first of all, you know, Buffalo's not doing that ever.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, that's there's some people are thinking, oh, O'Reilly, you could trade him away and then he could re-sign here in the offseason, which is certainly possible. But, you know, some teams may want to trade and sign, you know, O'Reilly, which happens a lot nowadays. A lot more than it used to, I guess. So there's that. And so I guess Kachuk did that and Waite did that. Was it back-to-back years or in 3 years?
That was the same year.
Same year.
That was the same year. That was when Carolina won the Cup. So Wait was the winner, and Kachuk got to play in Atlanta and knock it out of the first round.
Right. That's right. Yeah, I mean, if you had to guess where O'Reilly would end up, here, Buffalo, Colorado, Toronto, New Jersey.
Probably out of those places, I would say, and I haven't looked at their at cap space or anything like that, but I would say probably Jersey.
Yeah, I was thinking Jersey too, but I kind of wanted to say Toronto just to create an anarchy situation where Toronto is going after the big names again.
Oh, we have a penalty shot.
Oh, who is that? Thompson?
Robertson?
No, Fox.
Radek Foxa.
Yeah, Foxa.
Gets taken down on a breakaway. Got a shot off, but they're going to give him the penalty shot anyway.
Wow, he's got a nose that's been in a bunch of fights. Foxa.
Yeah, I mean, he's been around for a while at this point.
He's got his nose goes in two different directions. It goes out and then it goes straight down. So yeah, we want to pause the show while we watch him come in across the blue line, top of the circle. Backhand. He had it.
He opened him up, but didn't beat the stick.
Yeah,
good stick positioning there.
There was 5-hole there. If he gets that about 6 inches off the ground, that might go in.
Yeah.
Let's see it on the replay here. Forehand, backhand, 5 holes open, tries to slide it through on the backhand.
Yeah,
good stick.
That is great stick.
Stick save.
Stick save had a beauty.
Yeah, and a beauty.
Yeah. Gustafson.
Tarasenko. Comments he made during the All-Star weekend to Jim Rutherford during the interview session. Has he thought about this possibly being the last time he represents the Blues on the big stage? And he responded, yes, obviously yes, because even Vladdy doesn't know the future of Vladdy. There's only one guy who knows more than me, and his name is Doug Armstrong. I think that's the guy who you should talk about my future with the Blues. So Vladdy should know the future of Vladdy because he has a full no trade clause. He can pretty much say, I'm going to be here or I'm not.
Right.
So he has a say in where he goes.
Yeah.
His comments anymore are just so cold and sad.
Yeah. No, to me, it's all fuck you, Doug Armstrong. I hate you.
Maybe, but maybe he's just. I mean, do you think he hates Armstrong, or you think he?
I do.
So you think Armstrong had a say? So Armstrong had a say in his shoulder surgery, or talked him into, because this is what it all apparently stems from, is rumors on it anyway. Nothing. None of this has been like corroborated, but it's because of his shoulder surgery issues and the botched surgeries and and
I think Vladdy has resentment that things got public. I don't think he was responsible for things going public, and he feels that the Blues did that.
It's been a couple of years. You think somebody could say something to smooth things over, if you even want him anymore. Would you want the Blues to try and sign him?
Yeah.
Like if he was open to coming back, would you want Armstrong to try and sign him?
At this point, no, because we need the cap space. Because of the dumb moves that he's made on defense. Because you're not going to ask Vladdy to take a discount, right? He's still pumping in the goals at this point in his career. Maybe take a little shave, but I think he can get a better shave from O'Reilly.
Well, O'Reilly's come out and said so. So
right.
So yeah, I mean that's how much I have no idea, because he makes 7.5 now. How much is a team friendly discount? 5? Is that 5.5? Well, I mean, surely whatever he gets from someone else, if he signs somewhere else, it's going to be less than 7.5. He's not getting a raise anywhere, I don't think.
No, we talked about it earlier in the season. I said I thought a structured contract, a 3-year deal, 5.5, 4.5, 4 could be good for the team and good for him and might work. But I don't know.
This team's going to look really. If we move Tarasenko and O'Reilly,
Mhm.
I mean, this team is going to be. I mean,
Right. Right.
if it wasn't a shell of its former self before,
Right.
this season, it's a brand new team from 4
Right.
years ago.
Because it's clear. It's Thomas, Robert Thomas, and Jordan Kyrou are the future of this team,
Yep.
and they are clearly not leaders yet. Braden Shen is, if O'Reilly leaves, Braden Shen is the guy, right? He's the captain.
Sure.
It's the problem with this team, and we've covered it all year. It's the defense, right? We have too much money tied up in a mediocre defense.
And that's what's depressing.
Right.
It's
we're having to say goodbye to the guy that we watched go from, he fell down the draft board because people were convinced he wouldn't come here. He was a steal in the draft. We were so hyped. First game comes in 2 goals against Detroit coming out of the lockout.
Yeah.
And he grew up, he won a cup here, and we're going to say goodbye to him because we're handcuffed because our defense is overpaid and underperforming.
Yeah.
I wonder that narrative.
Well, you know what? Honestly, though, I mean, he wants out anyway. So, I mean, even if we had cap space and weren't handcuffed by the defense, maybe he'd want out anyway. Because I mean that.
Right.
So
right. I think there is bad blood between him, and I think that was pretty damn apparent in that interview with JR.
Well, and anytime he talks about it anymore, if he talks about it at all, I was shocked that he answered what he did. He didn't answer very much.
No, but he did answer in the Ricky Henderson sense.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know, it's so weird. But yeah, it's so cold and sad. It's like he just wants out, knows he's leaving, and he just doesn't want to really talk about it.
Right. There was a certain amount of inevitability to that interview. The weight of the interview, at least. It's a matter of time.
He was also asked, there's been uncertainty in the past 18 months as to whether Tarasenko still wants the Blues to honor his trade request or whether it has been rescinded. And when given the opportunity to clear that up, Thursday, he politely declined. And he said, with all respect, no response on this one. I'm not going to say anything. So I think that says it all, right? Yeah. I mean, he just doesn't.
Right. I think that's kind of where I, furthered my conclusion that he is there's animosity from him, that it wasn't him that made it known that he had made a trade request, right? He's pissed that ever got out, and he doesn't want to talk about it.
But this is gonna. I mean, I wonder how much this is gonna tarnish his legacy here. It's gonna hurt it some, because there's bad blood, and fans, they want to love players so much, but they're fans of the team. Players come and go, and when players leave, when there's some bad blood. Granted, Tarasenko is trying to be respectful, I guess, and not say much of anything. So there's that. He could make it worse by talking, actually. I don't know. I wonder how this is going to affect his legacy. I used to be a huge Tarasenko fan, but I've just found myself unknowingly, it just happened, not caring if he stays now.
Right. It feels to me it's like, when Pietrangelo left, that was like the last big hope. And I'll go to a different sport here for a second. When Pujols left, that was like, how can you let that happen? There are still players in this world that should play their entire career for one team. And when that ship sailed, I gave up on it as an idea in any sport. And so that's kind of the frame of reference I'm coming from with Tarasenko. There's been this inevitability. We're getting there. It sucks that we care so little at this point, right? It's apathy. I should say I am almost to the point of apathetic about it, right? It feels like it's a foregone conclusion, and I'm okay with it.
I'm almost dreading, him leaving and then coming back, and then we get the whole, video tribute to him and the standing ovation, and then he's going to talk so nice about the fans, and he's interviewed after the game, and I just like, we've done this so many times with players. I'm just tired of it.
Right.
I just don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
But it's going to happen, and it has to, but still. Matt Harris says, I hate to see where it's gotten with Tarasenko, but the thing is, I can't blame him for wanting out and for his frustration. And that's part of the thing with me too. I don't blame him a whole lot, but we don't know. I mean, everyone's been so tight-lipped about it, and they say it was because of the botched shoulder surgeries and like you said, Bill, maybe it's because the info just got out. But no one's talking about it really. Tarasenko doesn't. We didn't know for a while. There was rumors that it was rescinded, that he didn't want to be traded anymore. I think that came during last season when he was having a really good season and he looked happy. I think people just assumed it's such a weird situation because no one's talking. Everyone's drawing conclusions and making assumptions and making up stories and filling in the blanks, and no one really knows anything.
Right. I don't know. I kind of feel like if this were a hotter media market, that it would have never died down. Right.
He'd have been asked about it constantly.
But in why I would tend to err on the side of Vladdy in terms of him and his camp not being the leakers. The Blues have always tried to control the media, the media narrative, and I don't know. I don't recall where it came out first, but the Blues generally keep very tight on the information that gets public, and it's to me it
Armstrong
is suspect.
Armstrong is very consistent about that.
Right, it's suspect, that things came out like this. But
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was Vladdy's camp that tried to make it a thing, and Armstrong just shut it down and had the very tight ship on that. I don't know.
John Lattis says he wants out. You can see it in his All-Star gameplay. If we're gonna judge people by an All-Star gameplay, though, everyone's
because he tried.
Everyone's like, oh, he had 4 points that one game, the first game.
Right, he got him to the championship game, right?
And then helped him, and then had a goose egg. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I kind of want both Tarasenko and O'Reilly to be traded. Tarasenko, Carolina, the Rangers. In Carolina, Pacioretty's hurt. They need a guy. They need a top 6 guy. Rangers, they need a top 6 guy so they can keep their word is they need a top 6 guy so they can keep their top line together and move Goodrow down to the 4th line. So they'd want Tarasenko for that. Other potential suitors for Tarasenko are rumored to be the Devils, the Capitals, and the Oilers. Capitals, I'm sure he'd love to go to Washington.
Yeah. 2 places I think I could see. Well, 3. There are 3 places that I think maybe 4 places he would be happy to wind up. Rangers with Panarin.
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of been the rumor for a year or two. Carolina, they've got some really damn good talent, probably get along really, really well with Svechnikov. Florida, maybe they're not making the playoffs, but I have a feeling that he likes life in Miami.
Yeah, he's got a house down there.
Right.
And
he does. Yeah. He does. This off season was the first time that that it was really widely reported that he spent a lot of time in Miami.
Yeah.
And then the Capitals, a chance to play with Ovechkin, because it's he's going to be a rental. I think. I don't think he's going to go somewhere and he's going to be the guy there.
Yeah, unless he gets traded to somewhere he really wants to be, which is possible. But yeah, I agree with you.
Which that might be the Florida scenario.
Could be the Florida scenario. Could be Washington with Ovechkin. He might want to be there for next couple of years when he's breaking the record. Who knows?
But would Ovechkin want him there to take away goals from his record?
I don't think Tarasenko's Tarasenko's a 25 goal guy, right? 25 30.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. Tarasenko probably set him up the way he works. And John Latta says you can just tell his time is over. I agree with Tarasenko. There's something about his play this season, especially coming back from his last injury this season. He can't hit the broadside of a barn.
Yeah.
He is shooting. He has been off the mark with his shots. Barbashev is another guy who's been rumored heavily. He'd be a solid depth guy on any team. And to be honest, this is one of the guys I think for sure is getting traded. Unless Armstrong is going to resign him, I think he's getting moved for sure. He's a guy he's pretty cheap. Makes $2 million something. What does he make? He makes 2.25. So he's not that expensive. And he's a very good depth player. He's the kind of guy a cup contender adds as a good depth guy on their roster. It's hard to move big dollar guys, but guys like Barbashev, who can be very helpful, the third line. I think he's a perfect. Him and Achari, I think, are perfect candidates to be traded because they're not expensive and they're playing well. Achari's having a good year. Barbashev not so much, but Achari is having a good year. So I mean, he's cheaper than Barbashev, like half the price, I think. So, I think he's getting moved for sure too. If he doesn't, I don't see Achari. I mean, again, unless Armstrong wants to resign Achari,
right?
I think
he extends him. Yeah, I could see a scenario where he sends Barbashev out and then extends Achari with the money, right? Because I think this is a prove it year for Achari coming back from the pec injury, and he's definitely proven himself to still be a high quality NHL player, somebody who can still make an impact. So, if Armstrong wants to keep him around, maybe he deals Barbie and takes some of that cash and gives Achari a little bit of a raise for 2 years or so.
What are you thinking for? I'm thinking like Barbashev. I think Barbashev would get a second round pick, don't you?
It's going to be such a tight market, right? What was Horvat's return? It was Beauvillier, a first, and another really good prospect, right? So, but Horvat's still the right side of 30.
And how do you pronounce it? Ratty, Ratty, and a conditional first round pick.
Yeah.
Beauvillier, Ratty, and a first round pick in the 23 draft.
Right. So
conditional first round.
Right. That people like to say, that's the first trade that sets the market. I don't know that that's the case this year because Horvat's still in his prime, right? He's the right side of 30, and Vancouver just that whole thing needs to be blown up. So
he didn't get it. I mean, he didn't get a ton.
But Beauvillier is a damn good player.
Yeah, I mean, right? yeah, but I mean, I think Horvat's the I mean, of the two packages, Horvat's the better get.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the first round pick, that depends on where that could be something too. So
holy jumping. Darren Pang's in the studio tonight.
TNT.
Yeah.
He is.
Wow. How about that? I guess the regular crew, Bissonnette and Tockett's gone now, so they're trying other people out. So they got Keith Yandel.
Is that Yandel? Okay.
Yeah, it's Keith Yandel, Anson Carter, and Panger. So interesting.
Yeah,
I'm thinking Bissonnette's still drunk or recovering from the All-Star week.
So potential suitors are rumored for Barbashev are Pittsburgh, Colorado, the Rangers, and Achari. They got Toronto, Washington, and Boston.
Yeah, Boston makes too much sense because
he's
what a trip, and
right.
He's a Rhode Island guy, so he's right down the road.
How funny would it be for him to go back on the Bruins and then they get back to the Cup final this season?
Yeah. Yeah. Something tells me Toronto beats them this year.
You know what? I think my rooting interest involves whoever's playing Boston.
Yeah.
They were talking, I think it was on ESPN radio today in St. Louis, about how they were going to root for Boston because of coach. And I was like,
Jim Montgomery.
Yeah, Montgomery. I'm like, I don't give a fuck who is coaching the Bruins. I'm never rooting for the Bruins.
No.
Ever.
No.
Golly. I think it was
Fuck the
BK
beast.
and Ferrari. I'm like, dude, guys, shut up. Root for Boston. Who? No. I don't care I don't care if Montgomery is coaching them. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
It's fucking Bruins, man.
Yeah, John Latta says he's a fan of the Rags. That's a pretty damn good team, I think.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
it feels like they're one piece away from it. It feels like their defense is Adam Fox and then everybody else. But Igor Shesterkin, God, that guy's put up some great seasons. But some of the young talent they have on that team, from Capo Caco, one of my favorite names in the NHL, Alexis Lafreniere, Philip Cheadle. There's Heedle, right? Heedle. I said that wrong. But they are a really good team, and I would love to see them go all in and make a push if the Blues aren't there. Obviously neither of my teams are looking like they're going to get there this year. But the one thing I would really love to see is Toronto and Boston in the second round, and Toronto finally takes them down only to lose in the third round.
Yeah, I kind of do want Toronto is just like a fun pet project for me as far as my rooting interest goes. Yeah, I just enjoy watching them, knowing that they're going to lose, and I'm just like, who are they going to lose to? Which round will it be? And then I get to see the epic meltdowns by people who are expecting the cup every year, and last time they won the cup was before expansion.
67.
So, yeah, the last year before expansion. So 6 teams in the league. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, and you know what? I don't hate Toronto like a lot of people do. I don't hate the Maple Leafs. If they were to go to the Cup final against Colorado, I'm a Leafs fan. But I'm anti-Boston more than anything. Anyone but Boston. I would root for the Avalanche over Boston, I think. Even though that's a tight race.
Yeah. I mean, with Kadri gone from Colorado, it's a little easier to root for them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Right.
That's true.
And some of the players that we had, absolutely had no respect for. Grubauer the year before, Kadri last year.
Right.
Very true. I don't know. Yeah. Colorado's going to be a scary team down the stretch.
If they can get their shit together. I mean, they'll go on a run and they'll struggle. Right.
And all they have to do is hit it at the right time at the end of the season.
Yeah. I mean, easier said than done, right? We thought that during the bubble. Oh, well, the Blues will pick it back up. No.
Yeah.
God, that sucked. That sucked so bad. All right. So after this break from strikewithmike.com, we will discuss the Blues top prospects, and we'll talk some Blues defense. And we'll also critique the All-Star weekend. This is Let's Go Blues Radio.
During the magical 2019 playoff run, I was in the midst of buying my current home. Every time I spoke with my realtor, obviously, home buying was the discussion. But in the back of my mind, I couldn't stop thinking about what was destined to happen for our St. Louis hockey team. If only there were a realtor who could have walked me through the process, held my hand when needed, but was there to be a sounding board when I wanted to complain about a certain hand pass goal. Let realtor Mike Burgoyne with Real Brokerage be that for you. He'll have your needs top of mind as he skates you through the home buying or selling process, dangling you past any obstacles and assisting on all your home goals. Check out strikewithmike.com for more information or give him a call directly at 314-753-4060. That's Mike Burgoyne with Real Brokerage at strikewithmike.com, and that number again is 314-753-4060. Don't forget to tell Mike that Let's Go Blues Radio sent you.
Matt Harris says he heard Pang say fuck after the Yotes game. That was wild. You know, that's why he says holy jumping, right, Matt? Because he cussed on the air one time back in the day, and he trained himself to say holy jumping instead of holy shit.
Did you see the interview he did with Frank Cusimano 2 weeks ago on Sports Plus? It was that the rapid fire thing that Frank does. And he asked him what his most embarrassing moment was on air, and he told a story about it. They actually played this on Channel 5 on a Sunday night at 10:30. I thought it was hilarious, but told a story about doing a Colorado game, and I think it was Colorado and Detroit, and he redid the line from his commentary, and it was somebody beat somebody off.
Oh wow!
And I'm like, oh, that's classic. I kind of vaguely remember that, but he repeated it word by word, and the fact that they put that on Channel 5 in 2023 was just
funny.
Awesome to me.
Apparently, Pang has got a mouth on him.
Yeah,
he's quite the he's got quite the potty mouth.
Right, he's confrontational too.
Confrontational.
He's a little guy with gumption.
Yes, he is. Confronted me about, golly, how long was that? 7 or 8 years ago?
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago.
No, it was probably
4 or 5 years
6
ago.
Years ago.
Yeah. Nathan was it Nathan Walker? Yeah. His first stint with the Blues, was playing really well,
yeah.
Scored a few goals.
That was 2 years ago.
That was just 2 years ago?
Yeah. Walker hasn't been around that long.
Okay.
2-3 years.
Okay. But he was with the Blues, and then he went down and came back up a year or two later. Right. Anyway, he said on the air after the game, he interviewed him out, and he just asked him if he was going to get a Foster's Lager,
right,
to celebrate, and because he's Australian, and there was some talk online about how, is that racist, or is that appropriate, insensitive, I guess.
Right.
If he was Mexican, would you ask him if he was going out to Taco Bell to celebrate? And so that was discussion was had, and somebody said it was lazy journalism, and I was talking with this guy, and I agreed with him, and then Pang
jumped in.
No, he texted me. Got my number from Kerber, and he texted me.
Oh, yeah.
He texted me, and I was like, "Who is this? This isn't Pang," and it was. And I was like, it was taken out of context a little bit, but so I was like, I didn't mean anything by it, and I apologized, but so he was, and he was very, he defended how hard he works, and he does. He's a hard worker. He prepares for every game very well. There's nothing lazy about his game. It was a kind of a misunderstanding, and I agreed with somebody I probably shouldn't have on that. So but it's funny now to look back on. By the time I was like, God damn it, this pissed off Pang, and got a nasty text from him. So anyway,
and he's bringing it to the people right now.
He is. He's a hand animation and everything, just like Trump Jr. Just hands over the place. So Mikkola has also been rumored to have been on the block, or possibly to be traded. Not sure what he could fetch. Probably not a whole lot. Maybe a 4th round pick. Maybe if the Blues are looking to change up the defense, Mikkola is kind of one of those guys, one of those pieces they could actually move to bring in somebody else, and it'd be a nice depth move for somebody. Maybe a team as a 7th defenseman, kind of like how the Blues use him now. And because teams are always looking for depth defensemen coming in the playoffs, contenders, because injuries happen. So he'd be a guy that could fill in nicely.
The only team I've heard with interest, and not that I'm out there scouring every day. I'm not trying to be an insider, like some people that we associate with around these parts. But the Oilers, that's the name that I've heard in the national media circles. I tend to get my information from.
I think this was a Hockey Writers article. I think I got this from the potential suitors for Mikkola: Los Angeles Kings, Boston Bruins, Toronto Maple Leafs. So, but Edmonton, it's interesting. I think I want to say Edmondson was linked to Edmonton, maybe too.
Yeah,
someone's looking at him. So,
well, he was passed over for the captainship in Montreal. So, had he been made captain, I think it's a sure deal, because I think we're back to that point. You're captain in Montreal, you're getting traded. started with was it Guy Carbonneau? And it went it was like or maybe it was Muller, Carbonneau, Turgeon, Keane. All captains, all gone.
Matt Harris says, I don't see the point in losing Niko Mikkola. He feels like one of the 2D that show up most nights. I think Mikkola's kind of been up and down. I generally like Mikkola's potential and how he plays. And, he's one of those guys, this team lacks team toughness. And he's one of those guys. He's a bigger guy, plays physical. He has fought before. He's a guy that you may want to keep just to maintain some. I mean, to have somebody that you can put out there as a physical player.
Right. He competes, right? He tries. That is the one thing that you cannot say about him. He might not have a super high hockey IQ, but he tries every game. You notice him every game, and usually not just because he made a bad defensive turnover, but he's always trying to impact the play. And you can't always say that about 55 and other defensemen on this team.
John Lattis says we're missing Dunn in that spot as a 3 to 4 defenseman. Dunn's been getting a lot of conversation online lately because the advanced stats love Vince Dunn,
and they've always loved him. We talked about it last week, right?
Yeah, when he was here, the advanced stats said he was fantastic. The problem with Vince Dunn is that he's not a good defensive defenseman. He's not good in his own zone defensively. That's always been the problem with Dunn. That was even the problem when we played him this season. There was a goal or two Blues scored where Dunn was like, Dunn missed an assignment there.
Yeah.
I loved watching Miss Dunn. Dunn was fun to watch play. I liked watching him play, but he was frustrating in our own zone. So I don't know if Dunn would help this team situation, because our problem is our own zone play in our defensive zone. And I don't think Dunn helps us any there.
Yeah.
Unless you're talking transition, then that's, maybe it's better, but I guess he likes Dunn. Didn't like that he was exposed.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, the biggest gripe we've had about the composition of this defense is the extension for Parayko, right? That just he's not gonna live up to it. We have forever with him. And the opportunity to see if he would, get taken in the expansion draft, that was kind of one of the things that could have happened and didn't. And I don't know. It's one of those things, I think, right now that we can say with hindsight, yeah, maybe we should have exposed Parayko. But then again, maybe we can bring in a competent defensive coach and get Parayko back on track, right? We talked about it last week. Larry Robinson left and Parayko went to shit.
Yeah. And there's a lot of moving pieces there.
Right.
Bouwmeester leaving. Yeah. Petrangelo leaving.
Right. But even, think back when Scandella got here, those first 6 games before the season got shut down, Scandella and Parayko looked like they had played with each other for years and looked really good as the shutdown guy. Mm-hmm. And then we get to the bubble and they couldn't replicate it.
That sucked because we were off for weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It was how long was it? A month and a half? It was a while.
Yeah. I mean, we were still playing hockey in August, so it was 2 months, I think.
It was bad. I mean, and we just could not. I mean, the Blues looked like a shell of their former selves. That's bad. Best record in the West at the shutdown. You know, Colorado's nipping at our heels, but still, they were playing well and just different team in the bubble. So Krug, Falk, Parayko, and Leddy, they're going to be on the team next season. I think people need to accept that. I mean, as much as some people want to trade Krug or want to trade Parayko, you know, they have no trade clauses and they have to waive them. So I don't think you can't expect or hope. I guess you can hope, but you can't expect, you know, one of those guys to be traded. They're just, I mean, it's not realistic. It's very likely they're going to be on the team next season. We don't have a number one defenseman. There isn't going to be a number one defenseman able to get either. So this is kind of the defense we're going to have next season. I don't, you know, I'd love for that to be different. But we're going to have those four guys: Krug, Falk, Parayko, and Leddy, and then, you know, Bertuzzo, maybe Mikkola if he's still here. Rosen. I hope Rosen plays more. I like Rosen. Be nice if he could get some more ice time.
He's been the bright spot on this D, right? Making us all reminisce for Boom Boom, right? The unheralded Swedish number 6 defenseman on the team. Love it. He's brought a lot to this team this year, and probably, you know, if we look at the advanced stats, he would be a leader on this team.
John Lottis is contributing quite a bit to the show tonight. He says you have to draft a number one defenseman. You're not wrong, unless, you know, you're Vegas and you can sign Pietrangelo.
Right.
It's hard. It's hard to sign a number one defenseman. Teams just don't let them go.
Right. Unless you're the Blues.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and which, you know, we can.
Right.
Nice little segue, right? While those who are paying attention understand why Pietrangelo left. But should Armstrong have given Pietrangelo what he wanted to stay? Should he have given him the buyout-proof contract that Vegas gave him? Hindsight is 2020. Obviously,
right.
We need desperately a number one defenseman, and you know,
right.
it would have taken $800,000 more a season, a much bigger signing bonus over many years, and a full no trade clause.
If there's one guy in the history of the organization that deserved it, it was him, the captain of your Stanley Cup winning team.
I would have loved for the Blues to, I've said that at the time. I would love for Pietrangelo to come back and sign, but things got messy. Things got weird. And he left for not a whole lot more. You know, it was $800,000 more per season, if you believe the $8 million, 8 years that the Blues offered him. He left for he signed for $8,800,000 in Vegas and got a bigger signing bonus and got the full no trade clause, except for his last season, I think it is. So it's buyout proof up until the final season. And even then, he's got a big signing bonus, so they're not going to buy him out.
Yeah.
So I understood why, and Armstrong was open about he doesn't give those kinds of contracts. You know, and you know, part of me blames Armstrong, part of me blames Pietrangelo for, you know, leaving over what wasn't a whole lot of extra stuff. I mean, but you know, and then part of me blames Armstrong for not going the extra mile to sign him. But then again, at the time, you know, we signed Krug, and it's like, well, that was a very nice consolation prize, Krug. And Parayko was supposed to be the number one in waiting. So that was the plan. The plan didn't work. It hasn't worked. So I was on board with it. If we weren't going to sign Pietrangelo, I think we went the next best possible route. I think Krug was the best available guy to get. So we got him.
The narrative felt really good at the time.
It did at the time.
You know, because Parayko was the other part of that equation, right? The unspoken part of that equation, right? He's our burgeoning number one guy. And it's like, maybe he shouldn't be in our top 4.
And, you know, Matt Harris said he thought Armstrong was expecting Pietrangelo to seriously regress. He did that next season.
Right.
He didn't have a very good next season.
Right. And he was hot and cold here. Right.
Yeah. Oh,
How for how many years did we ride him? Right. He could stick handle his way out of a good offensive possession better than any defenseman in the league. Right. Stick handle the puck at the blue line and oops, I put us offside.
right.
Or I let that lane shut down, right? We criticized him, but he found something that year, right? He found
Oh,
something the year that we won.
yep.
And I think his expectation was, I deserve it. And I agree with that, right?
That's fine.
I think he's the one guy in the history of this team, other than Brett Hull in the early 90s, who lighting everything up, that you just give him what he wants.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I had a point here and I lost it. But oh yeah, his Norris caliber level play when he was here was about a year and a half. Right. He was and before the first half of the cup season and the season before that, he was good. He'd have stretches of really good play, but like you said, he would make stupid mistakes. Dumb mistakes at the blue line. And he always fell short of that Norris caliber guy that he was supposed to probably be. And that was frustrating. We complained about him a lot on this show in the years prior to the cup, about how he just wasn't consistent enough. Wasn't that elite level guy. But then he got there.
Right.
He got to the second half of the cup season. He was amazing. And that next season, he was fantastic the entire next season. And then he left. And got a big contract, a great contract from Vegas.
Yeah. But, I think, if we're going to talk about his, the career of Pietrangelo as a Blue, that year that we got knocked out by the Kings, got swept by the Kings, he was knocked out in, I think it was the first or second game, and he was controlling play at that point in his career, and that was a big setback for him in the progression of his career. And he was the number 4 overall pick in that draft. Stamkos was first, Doughty was second, and that's where Doughty took the narrative as the best defenseman in that draft. Up to then, it was kind of a toss-up between him and Pietrangelo, and then it took a few years for Pietrangelo to get back on track. Right? That was a tough injury to overcome. And obviously that psychologically the Blues, it took them 2012 2013, 6 or 7 years to overcome it and win the cup. But I don't know.
Yeah, no, and hindsight being 2020, yeah, obviously we should have signed. There's a lot. I mean, you can go back and say we should have done a number of things. I would say probably not sign Letty, even though it would have gone against what the team needed at the time. You go back and Letty hasn't been the difference maker. I don't think we expected him to be a difference maker, but we expected him to be, consistent.
Right. I think we expected him to be the guy that settled Parayko down, and that didn't happen. Right. Yeah. That we were hoping that he would be, the Parayko whisperer that Scandella was after the trade. And at first, again, there seemed to be some decent chemistry, but I don't know. I'm so far down on Parayko at this point. I think his hockey IQ is seriously regressed. If there's been one guy that's regressed, it's him.
And again, we talk about what we talked about last week. I'm gonna say it's probably more likely that he's hurt. Ever since that back injury, there's something still going on there. I have no inside info. I'm trying to be logical, I guess. It's your hockey IQ is one of those things where it's like, well, you just don't lose it. I mean, you'd hope not. obviously the way you play depends on who you're paired with. You need to play well with your partner.
Well, it's the way you play should depend on how your partner plays. And Pareko doesn't. I think one of my criticisms this year is that he doesn't really have chemistry with anybody. He's going to do what he's going to do, even when it's not the right thing to do. And his defensive partner has a better read of the play.
Yeah, I mean, my gripe with him, and injuries aside, if he's hurt, he's not. They're not saying, but if you're gonna be a top tier defenseman, you're the guy that needs to make the guy that you're paired with better. You shouldn't need somebody else to make you better if you're supposed to be the number one guy. That's your job. You're the McInnes to your partner's Jackman, right? You make them better, not the other way around. If you need somebody to make you play better, then you're not as good a player as you're touted to be. So, I mean, I think you have to elevate someone else's play. Great players do that. They elevate players around them.
Right.
And he's not doing that.
No, he's kind of tends to have the opposite effect. He just that lack of chemistry. I don't know. I would like to believe that it is injury related. The problem is it's the between the ears thing that has, I think, not come around.
Why I think that is
with him.
I'm gonna guess why I think that is. It's because of how he plays. I think his style of play, not aggressive, not physical. He doesn't get angry on the ice. You never see him like even barking at anybody. I think that style makes it appear like he doesn't care or is a soft player, which I think people can kind of say, well, soft player, he's kind of in one ear out the other, doesn't really understand the game. His hockey IQ is not that great. I think a lot of that's kind of like wrapped into one. If you don't play physical and people are already frustrated by the fact that you're not playing the way they think you should be playing, then it's easy to gripe about other things, like whether or not his hockey IQ is what it should be, which, and I agree with you. It does seem like he makes stupid mistakes out there. So he's always had this problem. Delay game, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's him.
Right.
So
the thoughtless delay of game, puck over the glass penalty.
He does it all the time.
Yeah.
Prospects. We have some good prospects, but no elite first liners in the pipeline. So getting some extra draft picks in a deep draft by possibly trading some folks can help deepen the Blues prospect pool some. We got Jimmy Snuggerud, who's playing in college, had a great World Juniors tournament. He's probably a couple years away, 2 or 3 years away. Zachary Bolduc, he's playing in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. Can't play in the AHL next year due to his age. So it's either juniors or the NHL. It's kind of a Robert Thomas situation again with him.
Are you ready to come around that Zachary Bolduc will play in the NHL one day?
What was the agreement? I said that it was a maximum number of games, right?
Yeah,
but it's like 40 some odd games. I think I said something like that.
Yep, I think that's what you said.
42 or 46. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go back on it. I hope he's an all-star, but I'll stand by it until he proves me wrong.
Yeah,
his name is not conducive to somebody who is going to pan out in the NHL. It's the dumbest analysis ever, but
lazy analysis.
I said it being stupid, and I just kind of it's just stuck with me. Joel Hofer, he'll be up here next year back in Bennington, but again, not an impact player. The Blues need to help fix things as they stand right now. So so hopefully the moves that we make bring in a prospect or two, some good draft picks, some high draft picks, hopefully, and we can kind of restock our prospect pool. We got, there's a couple of good guys, Snuggerud and Bolduc, but after that, yeesh. So it'd be nice to get some guys down there that with some nice picks in a deep draft. John Lattis says he is high on the Blues prospects. I like the ones we've talked about. I like those. I don't think there's enough of them. All-Star Weekend. So first I want to say, and I've said this before, that I love the idea of the skills competition. I've always liked the skills competition. Every year I'll have it on or record it to watch later. Generally, I like it because it's just fun. It's not, who cares? But this year's skills competition, I hated it. And it started last year. The ESPN broadcast production of the skills competition was awful. I don't know how many of you guys watched it. Well, Neighbors isn't he with the team right now? No, he's not. That's right. Neighbors is down, isn't he, right now? But Neighbors is going to be, well, right now he is. Well, because we're on break, but
get games.
But Neighbors is
don't go to Mexico, kid.
Neighbors is not a prospect. Neighbors is he's going to be with the team when we resume. I don't count him as a prospect. I count him as he's with the team now. I'm pretty sure he will be.
Yeah.
But so I don't know how many of you guys watched the All-Stars, the skills competition. They had sound issues. It's terrible. You couldn't hear the crowd, or the crowd was just really quiet. And it was a Florida crowd, so who knows? Maybe they're just quiet. And that made for a terrible experience when the crowd is just not into it at all. They're not barely clapping. Something funny happens, they don't react at all. It's just like, ugh.
The people that get the skills competition tickets are not they're not going to be the drunk, unruly, rowdy crowd, right? It's parents taking their kids to the game and, got the corporate tickets for the game kind of people, right? It's not where you want to try to, to have something that requires fan energy. And I think it kind of felt like that's what ESPN was expecting, and that didn't happen.
There was no energy from that crowd, none. It was, and now if they were loud, their mics didn't pick up anything. So it was one or the other. It was terrible. Buchagras and company, the broadcasters, I thought they did a horrible job. Of explaining the different events. I don't need the events explained to me necessarily, but they're doing new stuff this year. And they just a shit job. You're watching it, and they briefly explained it in the beginning with a bubble hockey guys, which was weird, but kind of cool. And then they just I don't know, their commentary sucked. It was bad. But I don't know what happened to Buchagras. He's not good play-by-play.
He's good for college play-by-play when when ESPN's doing college games, and the majority of the he's a great college guy, right? He knows college hockey better than any sportscaster out there. And he does a good job, I think, with the college games. But when it comes to the NHL game, right, it's just there are so many probably better announcers. And I love Bucci. I've always loved him. NHL Tonight is nostalgia. The fact that he's the guy that's been there, never gave up on the sport when ESPN wouldn't even give it 30 seconds in a Sports Center, on Sports Center for years. Love him. But yeah, this whole thing was so cringe, right?
I think he's being overextended as far as what he can and can't do, and ESPN has him doing stuff that he's not good at, and it's with NHL, and I'm like, it's just I didn't think his commentary was interesting at all in the All-Star competition. It's like he's getting older and he's still trying to be cool, like a cool young guy. And he's just like,
there's nothing more tragic than an aging hipster.
Right. I didn't think PK Subban was good.
Oh,
I thought on the
God.
ice he was cringy.
That whole the Pasternak Happy
Oh,
Gilmore thing,
oh,
it was a slow motion train wreck,
yes.
right? It just
It's like,
like we
let's
all know
go, move it along.
right. We all know what the story, right? We know what this is, and yeah, it was so cringe. In full disclosure, I watched probably about an hour worth of the festivities while I was wrapping up work. I saw the accuracy shooting because that one's always entertaining, right? And then the golf thing, and that was about as much as I caught. And the golf thing was interesting, but still, like,
Yeah.
the guys were very stiff, right? It was Suzuki,
Yeah.
Robertson, Clayton Keller, and who was the fourth? Can't even remember who the fourth was.
I don't remember. I was I was trying to watch, and I was just disinterested in so much of it. I didn't. Yeah. Matt Harris says PK was so not fetch. Yeah, I just thought the commentary. I mean, you don't realize how important commentary is until you get really bad commentary. It's like when they're out there doing their thing with the golf thing, for example. The commentary was I don't know. It wasn't good. It wasn't insightful. It wasn't funny. It was just I don't know. It was flat to me. I thought Pat Maroon
Oh,
was
I meant to bring that up. I thought having him there on the ice, like, I don't think he's got a future in broadcasting.
no. Has no one seen the Car Shield commercials? He's not good. He's
Yeah.
not good in front of a camera, in front of a mic. He might be good, when they're doing the pregame skate and you call him over to ask him what they got to do to beat the other team. But, if he's like providing commentary, I mean, they go to, let's go to Pat Maroon. It was like, yeah, he skated fast. That's going to be a tough time to beat. Thanks.
Thanks for that insight, Pat.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just like they had players, former players and former players doing commentary and broadcasting work, and it's like, no, get broadcasters to do that, or hockey broadcasters or something. It would just be such a much better experience. I mean, I don't like I hate ripping on the skills competition because I generally like it. I like the idea. Because I'm like, it's all for fun. Who cares? But man, I'm just trying to watch. It's just so boring. We'll talk some more All-Star Weekend. Plus, we happily discussed Jacob Trouba's monster hit on Nazem Kadri after this word from Sunrise Brewery. So don't nobody go nowhere.
I'm going to go
Let's
find
Go
that
Blues
video right now.
This is Let's Go Blues Radio.
Do you like hockey? Of course you do. Do you like beer? Of course you do. Are you 21? Let's hope so. If you answered yes to all of those questions, run on down to your local beer distributor and pick up a 2-4 of Old Arena Lager, the Beauty IPA, or any other delicious hockey-themed beer from Sunrise Brewery. That's right, Sunrise Brewery beer is available at various beer stores around town, so check around for the one closest to you. That's Sunrise Brewery. Let's go Blues!
Did you catch the surfboard dunk tank thing?
I did.
I thought I thought this one kind of just flopped because the players weren't good at it. I mean, a couple players got to dunk somebody, but I don't know. It's almost like this is, they're some of these events they're turning into a circus.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't mind, being creative with an event, but oh my God, this was like all over the place on the beach, knocking down surfboards and then shooting at a dunk tank. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. And I only caught the very end of it, and it was Cale Makar and Rantanen. and it's like why is Rantanen in there? I thought it was Adam Fox that Makar sent into the tank. But
Yeah.
then when they cut to the interview, it was Rantanen. I'm like, I'm not following.
And that's they didn't really explain, the whole. It was weird. Yeah, I agree. And again, this is the whole prep thing with telling people what's going on. They did
Yeah.
a poor job of that, I think.
Yeah.
The creative dress up breakaway thing, that was.
I saw the picture of Mitch Marner dressed as as Sonny Crockett.
Right. So I mean, that's fine. Come
Right.
in dressed up like that. Okay, whatever. I'm not a big fan of this event because it kind of gets stupid. But he's on the beach. He's on the phone. They call him into the rink, I guess, and then he comes in. I'm not sure what that even was supposed to do. And he comes in, and then he comes in on Luongo, and he just flips a shot, and that Luongo made the save on. And then I'm like, what the hell was that? Yeah, it was a little flip shot. It wasn't even, I'm like, what was that? And they were laughing about it, and the broadcasters had no clue. They were, and I'm thinking Luongo made the save when he wasn't supposed to, or something. Like, because Marner was like, what? It was like, what'd you do? I don't know. The broadcaster was completely lost. I was lost. I don't know what's going on. So that was weird. Accuracy shooting, fastest skater. I loved. Keep it simple. Have the fastest skater, accuracy shot, goaltender save streak was kind of cool. I like that. The shootout competition, that obstacle course thing that they did for shooting and passing. Pietrangelo did it when it was in St. Louis. That was cool. That was a skills thing. And I don't want to sound like an old man here, but get rid of the costumes.
Get off your lawn.
Yeah, and the goofiness, right? The costumes and the goofiness. I'm just like, really? I don't know. It's like they overcomplicate the events.
Yeah.
And they're falling flat. Kind of like the cards in Vegas. They shot those big cards, like to play. Was it to play 21? And
right.
And they don't think things through. Like they ran into a problem because what was it? They ran into a problem because
they ran out of cards, right?
They ran out of cards.
Randomly threw people out of the game.
Something like that. Yeah. That was like, that's this stuff's weird. The actual All-Star game jerseys. What'd you think on the ice?
Didn't watch a single second of it.
But you saw the jerseys.
The jerseys. Oh, I love the jerseys.
Right.
I love the throwback feel. Like, that was out of all the retro ideas the NHL's had, those hit.
Yeah, I kind of dig the colors too.
Yeah, I loved all of my Instagram page is half puppies and half goalie porn, and all of the reveals for the goalies. Like, how often do goalies actually get an all-star get-up? Like, 4 of them had it this year, right? At least 4. I didn't watch the game, so I didn't see what was out on the ice. But man, Hellebuck's get-up, that was sweet. I mean, embrace that. The classic Miami colors, right? Mm-hmm. It's just the teal and the pink. It's just it worked so well.
I'll say this, and I agree with Matt Harris and Winning Unlimited having a chat in a conversation in the chat, and I agree with this aspect of it. They weren't different enough to play against each other. I liked the jerseys on their own, but when you put them on the ice together, too much white. And both teams had a bunch of white in their jerseys. One had black shoulders, right, and one didn't. But it's like, so that bugged me because there was too much white going on. And I think it happened. One of the players made a mistake and passed to the other team. They someone speculated that it was because the jerseys were too similar, but I don't know. I like the colors. I thought they were different. They were cool. Might even buy one, actually.
Yeah, that this out of all the years since Hunter brought this up last time. The last time I was really geeked about an All-Star jersey was Minnesota.
Ah,
That was the year they introduced their thirds, and the All-Star jerseys kind of mimic that. And yeah, those were beautiful. But yeah, it's a couple years ago we had those motocross behemoths. Oh god, those are terrible. This hit
Yes.
perfectly. So
Uh,
well.
Matt Harris said apparently someone online was doing the jerseys for $30 Canadian. Is that a Chinese site? If that's a legit jersey, Matt, shoot us that link. Yeah, and
Kurt
the
just
game.
asked you to slide into his DMs.
Yeah, I did. The actual All-Star game, the Central beat the Pacific 6-4 to advance to the final. Tarasenko led the Central in points in the first round with 1 goal, 3 assists, and the Atlantic beat the Central in the final 7-5. And Tarasenko was shut out in the final with 0 points.
And the Kachuk brothers were
They
were
tore
the
it up.
stars.
Yeah, they tore it up, and they got robbed in the dress up shot thing and the skills. I thought the end of it was stupid, but they put forth a lot of effort in there, and one judge gave them a 2. Yeah, but rapid fire tidbits from. Oh, I'm sorry. Next up for the Blues, we play Arizona on Saturday. Finally, after 12 days off. February 11th to 7 p.m. in St. Louis. Then Tuesday versus Florida in St. Louis, and the trade deadline is on March 3rd. So we got less than a month until the trade deadline. What day of the week is that?
That is a Friday, I think. March 3rd. Is it March 3rd?
It is March 3rd. It is a Friday, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's a kind of a hell day for me at work. So I knew what day of the week it was. So.
Rapid fire tidbits from around the NHL. We got one here. The Rangers, Jacob Trouba lays out Flames Nazem Kadri with a massive hit. Did you see this, Bill?
Yeah, while we were on that break, I finally got to watch it.
All right.
Wow.
One of the best hits you'll ever see.
Yeah, and it was a clean hit.
Oh,
right?
Clean as could be.
Kadri tried to cut back to the middle, and Trouba just read him. Read the head fake and just plastered him.
It was like a Scott Stevens hit, but his elbow was down.
Yeah. Yeah, it was shoulder to chest, and it knocked his helmet off and everything. But Kadri's always been known to wear the chin strap loose.
Yeah.
So wasn't surprised to see the helmet pop.
Oh yeah, it was almost 10 feet in the air, probably 8 foot. Yeah, and so Blues fans around the world were heard screaming, "Yes!"
Yeah,
Kadri got laid out, and then Flames forward Dylan Dubé instantly fights Trouba, and Trouba beats his ass.
That could be the defining moment of Jacob Trouba's captaincy for the Rangers.
Yeah, and the Rangers won that game in overtime.
Yeah.
So a hell of a game for the Rangers. That was a fun one.
On home ice.
Yeah. All right. Any other? Let's get some comments in the YouTube chat. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah. Ben 3 is Ben H. Was Ben H 301? Yeah. Have we had him on before?
He's been around before.
Okay. I want to say I wasn't sure. Trade deadline on Friday is sweet. Yes, it is. I'm a work from home guy on Fridays, so I can have the TV on in the background.
Up until last year, I always took trade deadline off, and it was usually a Monday. So that's now with the work from home setup and it being on a Friday, that's gonna be a beautiful day.
Man, I long for the day before the salary cap at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Those were fun.
Right. With their, bringing in, some former NHLer that they call, they're like, well, this isn't going so well. And they call somebody up, can you get it here and tell us some stories? Right. That feels like the trade deadline. Last year was a little bit active, but years before that, it's been so damn boring.
Yeah, I know. And that's kind of the fact that it's hard to make significant trades.
Right. In the cap era.
In the cap era. Combine that with everything that we went over to start the show. As far as like how hard it's going to be with only 5 teams having $5 million, in cap space right now. So they got to move salary out, in any trade, and that's hard. And 2 of those teams are in the Central. So do you trade in the division? It's like, jeez, I don't know. I mean, Blues Nation is going to be pissed off if O'Reilly and Tarasenko are still both on this team. What is it, like 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock on deadline day?
I think it's 5 o'clock Eastern. So 4 o'clock Central.
Yeah. So
maybe it's 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Central.
It might be. I think you're right, because I remember on days when I was at work and I wasn't close to going home when the deadline was over.
Right, and maybe that changed with the day changing this year.
Ben H says in the YouTube chat, reported by Dave Pagnotta last summer, Tarasenko was willing to waive no trade clause for the Rangers, the Islanders, the Devils. Also says in the article that Doug has been receiving lots of calls on both O'Reilly and Tarasenko, which that part's not surprising.
No, it's what's the return going to be, and Armstrong's not going to get fleeced in a trade.
No, and you can't just give him away for anything either, because that's gonna, then if you try to make a trade later or in the future, then the other GMs are gonna be like, well, you traded so and so for this,
Right.
You're devaluing your existing players if you give away players for way less than market value. So I can see him, unless he gets what he wants, I can see him not trading Tarasenko and O'Reilly, which don't be surprised if neither one get moved. I mean,
right. You started off the show with that.
I mean, I would think Armstrong's going to do everything he can to move what he can, but don't be surprised if some guys don't get moved that fans want moved.
Yeah, or not even want move, but expect to move. Right. That's the problem. The trade deadline is usually a bigger letdown than it is.
Oh yeah.
Right. But then, if you get what you're asking at this point, go back to what we talked about. You're saying goodbye to the guy that this fan base was the most excited about since Brett Hull.
Yeah. Yep.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
That was for our mountain audience.
Right. It's mountain time. A few minutes late mountain time.
So that would be for Dr. Nighthawk if she ever watches us anymore.
Right. Yeah, she does. I mean, she does from time to time. I haven't seen her in a while, though.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's about it. I'm looking through the chat here, and I think we covered most of the stuff. Anything else, Bill? We're going to shut her down.
What other option do we have, Earl? None.
Support for Let's Go Blues Radio is brought to you in part by ID Life, the world's only truly personalized vitamin platform based on health assessment of your DNA. Visit rockinthatidlife.com for more information. That's rockinthatidlife.com, and get 10% off by emailing Dustin at rockinthatidlife@gmail.com and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you. And by Mark Burgoyne from Real Brokerage Realty. Visit strikewithmike.com today for all of your home buying and selling needs. That's strikewithmike.com. And by Sunrise Brewery, St. Louis's tasty hockey-themed beer. Check out your local beer vendors for availability. That's Sunrise Brewery beer. Please drink responsibly. That'll wrap up episode 20 of season 11 of the original St. Louis Blues Hockey Podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Thanks for listening, and thanks for those who participated in the YouTube and Facebook live chats during the live show. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. For the MIA, Jeff Ponder and Bill Day, I'm Kurt Price. Until next time, everyone, let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
The Chiefs are at home tonight against Cyanosport at the War Memorial at 8. Good seats are still available.
A look at fourth.
I think that went very well.
Thank you for listening to Let's Go Blues Radio. Now take off, hosers.
I want you to have a heart attack and die so that we never have to do this shit again.
Well, there's 90 minutes of your life you'll never get back. Sorry.
St. Louis Blues, St. Louis Blues. Have you heard the news about our St. Louis Blues? They've only just begun, they're on their way to number one. Now there's no more blues for our St. Louis Blues. The Blues are on the ice tonight again. They're rough and tough and got the stuff to win. They'll always get one more, no matter what the score. They are quite a hockey team, my friend.